6 months ago, I reviewed the MEZE Empyrean 2, which is the best headphone that I think they have ever made, and it's one of my favorite headphones of all time. And today I'm going to tell you what I think about this after 6 months of use, what I like, what I don't like, what I found out, all of the above. Now, today's video is sponsored by myself. We had the PeriApp split collaboration for the cable. I've been using this with this headphone for my kind of split cable system. It kind of splits in this really convenient way that lets you use a bunch of other headphones with the same cable. It's nice. Now, that being said, in all fairness to MEZE, I think that the cable that they produced for this is one of the best stock cables that comes with headphones. It's really great. It doesn't get kinked. It's lightweight. It's not microphonic, but it's well built. It's just awesome. It's a cable that I really enjoy, and if I wasn't invested in the split system itself, I would be using the stock cable no problem. And I would recommend the stock cable for people who only have this headphone. Now, what I've noticed is that when you buy something, things tend to go one of two ways. Either you learn all the things that you hate about it, all those little small details that you dislike kind of come to the surface and they kind of get revealed. The sunlight just kind of reveals everything. Or those issues never really creep up and you just start learning to enjoy and love what the product offers. And in this case, this is that one. This is a headphone that initially I liked a lot, but have only grown in my likeness for it. And it's only become more impressive over time, which is crazy. One of the more fun things I get to do is kind of show people this hi-fi equipment. And this is one of those headphones that, like, even on people who are not audiophiles, people who don't really care about how something sounds typically, they get this initial impression from this headphone that's very, very, very good. And I think that's mostly driven by the bass response, which is not only plentiful, but like really high quality. And I think it's higher quality bass and probably stronger bass than most like normal people are used to hearing. So off of initial impressions for non-audiophiles, it's quite enjoyable. This would be like the opposite of something like a Warwick Bravura, which I just reviewed, which is an electrostatic headphone that's pretty bass light. That headphone gets more impressive the longer you listen to it. And when somebody who's not an audiophile comes in and listens to it, usually their first response is not a lot of bass. So I'd say, like, just for kind of like show and tell time, it's really cool. Like a lot of people really love it. Now, for audiophiles, that's where the actual quality of the sound comes in and delivers on almost every front in a way that very few headphones do. The bass response, like we already covered, is really, really excellent. The top end and mid-range response, how they're handled with the presentation and the sound staging and everything is just awesome. The presentation is probably the thing that I've learned to kind of live with and love the most, actually. This headphone feels like a breath of fresh air in multiple areas. Like, one, it's comfortable. So when I listen to one headphone that may not be as comfortable, this feels like that kind of nice pair of jeans that you just fit right into and is like tailored to your body. That's what this headphone feels like on your head. Despite being big, it's very comfy. The second part of that is that the sound is really open sounding. It's very full, but it just sounds really wide and everything has its unique place, but it's not kind of on top of you and super like aggressively kind of intimate, which is very nice. And it's actually something that a lot of headphones do not do correctly. And it's something that this does very well. A complaint I do have is that the top end fidelity, I talked about this in the review and it's still true today. The totality of detail is not as good as comparable ultra expensive headphones like the Diana MR, like the HE1000 SE. If you're only into detail retrieval, those headphones are better than this. The Diana MR, especially with the suede pads, is bassier and warmer like this is, but it has a little bit more treble detail and a little bit more finiteness, a little bit more peaks to those sounds and not so much kind of a round off for each of those kind of detailed little notes. So this is something that as I've compared it to more and more headphones has become perhaps like the biggest audiophile complaint I have is that it's a detailed headphone, but not as detailed as some. For tonality, this is neither a good thing or a bad thing, neither a pro nor a con, but I have noticed that compared to an ultra neutral headphone, like a Warwick Bravura, when you hear that headphone for the first time, that is what neutrality sounds like. Like if you were curious what neutral is, that is pretty much neutral. This headphone is warmer than that by quite a large margin. And I was lucky enough to be able to compare the Bravura and this back to back and really hone down on what I liked. I respect the neutrality. no doubt there. Respected. I think it's a good like technical achievement, and sometimes it's awesome to listen to. But I think just my preference, just my personal preference, aligns more with the warmer sound signature of the MEZE. But personal preference is going to vary a lot here, so this is just up to person. I guess the third thing is like the X factor. I've talked about this lightly before in some other reviews, but the X factor is like, it's not necessarily a tangible thing, but it's whether or not you enjoy using something. Not necessarily how it sounds, not necessarily how it's built or how comfortable it is, but like in the act of picking it up day to day and putting it on and listening to it, like some things are just better at that part of the user experience than others. So I'll give you a good example. Another really comfortable, really good headphone is the Aria Organic. For that price range, I think it's one of the best headphones. I'll drop a link to it down below. This I just enjoy kind of picking up and using and wearing just a little bit more. So whatever that X factor is that makes me want to go to this. And it's not just about sound. It's about all those things that I talked about, like that hand feel, how it feels on your head, the way the cable falls, all of those small little details add up to one big kind of X factor. And the X factor on this is great. I really enjoy using this. And over the past few months, after listening to other people's reviews and talking to other people about it, a lot of people seem to enjoy using this in the same way that I do. And it seems to be fairly comfortable, well built, seemingly very reliable. So I think this has been an absolute banger for MEZE to put out. It's really nice. Okay, last thing is ease of use. One of the benefits of this headphone and the Diana MR is that they're very easy to drive. I was lucky enough to be able to review the WA23, and this is one of the headphones I was using that on. That's a close to $10,000 amplifier. And while that might be the best I've heard this Empyrean sound, this amplifier, which is $50, gets very close to that quality. And this headphone, the way it's designed, the internals of it allow for a very good sound without really spending a massive amount on your amplification, which for consumers should be a huge selling point because you don't have to invest all of the extra money, all the extra possibly thousands of dollars to get really good sound. You can get so far with something dirt cheap like this. And this is not sponsored. I promise, not sponsored at all. I just saw it, and this is actually what prompted the 6-month kind of review here. MEZE on Instagram is actually going to be giving away an Empyrean 2, which is pretty sick. It doesn't cost anything. You might as well hop over there, shoot your shot, try to get one because this is a very expensive headphone, but it's real good. It's a real nice. All right, I think that pretty much covers everything I wanted to talk about. It's kind of just reaffirming what I thought was really good. Not every long-term user review ends up this way. A lot of products that I listen to tend to get worse over time, or I guess the flaws just get more apparent over time. And when you compare them against other things, you see all these shortcomings, and time really has a way of chipping away at how good something is. But so far, this has been a massively impressive headphone. I do have a few headphones coming up that are around the same price tag that are newer than this, and I'm really curious to see how those stack up. So stay tuned for that. Otherwise, I'm out.